guys,
and welcome to episode 3 of Awk Talk.
This is Coconut. So new location today.
Yes, just to spice things up a little bit. It's totally not because we weren't able to do it in our original location.
Surprise!
Today we're going to be talking about approaching grief.
It's a bit of a different one
It
today,
is.
a bit different to what we have done previously.
Yes.
But we hope you enjoy. Today is obviously going to be quite a sensitive one. So before we get started, we do just want to reiterate that what we share today are purely our opinions and our ideas based on personal experiences. But if you have experienced grief or loss, how you handle that situation is purely the right way because it works for you. There's no correct way, there's no book of tricks, there's no time frame. Yeah, it's purely, grief is very personal. So how you handle it is what's best for you. But what we wanted to share today is sort of the other end of the scale, as in how to approach someone that's going through grief. Because unfortunately, at some point or another, we're going to find ourselves in that situation. Really horrible things happen to all of us. And so we wanted to talk about some experiences that we've had. So tragically last year, I lost my brother Aaron really suddenly, and it was a massive shock to my family and to everyone. So we kind of just wanted to talk about what I found was really helpful and Phoebe's sort of perspective on approaching me who was going through grief.
Should we just start wafting now?
Let's start wafting. So approaching someone that's going through grief can be a really uncomfortable situation to be in.
In the same way that there's no right way to grieve, there's also not really a correct way to approach someone who's grieving.
Yeah.
You might say one thing to Emily, for example, but if I said that to someone else,
yeah,
it would go down completely differently.
Yeah,
but,
so what we're doing is like quite generic, but also, again, our opinions. We're going to break this Awk Talk up again into a few segments. So we're going to talk about words, actions, and I think the last one is space. So when we're talking about words specifically, we're going to talk about sort of sentences and some common phrases that we kind of want to reframe them into what we think is a better way to get your message across. Because a lot of the time, when you're approaching someone that's grieving, you have really good intentions and you're trying to say the right thing, but that person is very sensitive, and so words at that time are very valuable and can really quite affect that person. So we just want to talk about some phrases and what we think is probably a better option. I had some people that would come up to me, and not just personally, again, we are talking about personal experiences, but communicating with other people. Sometimes people will come up to someone and say, "Oh, I know how you're feeling." We think the better option to say in that situation is, I can only imagine how difficult this is for you. Because realistically, no matter what grief it is, no matter who that person has lost, you actually genuinely don't know how they're feeling. You know, we all approach grief, we all take grief in such a completely different way.
Like, for example, Emily lost a sibling, and there might be someone else who has lost a sibling, could be just as sudden, could be the same circumstance, but it could be so similar.
Yeah.
But the way that Emily deals with that, and the way that, like, the relationship that Emily had with Aaron, in no way parallels to the way that that other person may have had a relationship with their sibling. So even if it is very similar, it's not the same. So it's just, you really can't imagine how they're feeling.
Yeah.
You can try, and you can try and console them and, you know, be there for them. But I just don't think it's beneficial to say, like, I know how you feel. Yeah. There are some people who are grieving, and their coping mechanism or their process is to be really angry.
Yeah.
And if they are one of those people that is just really angry that this has happened, they might just really be picking at anything and
overthink that and get angry about that. Yeah.
So it's just better to be cautious.
Yeah, exactly. Another one that is quite common is people saying they're in a better place now, and we just then completely reframe that to saying, like, I'm sorry you're suffering. Because for some people, their belief system might be, yes, they truly believe that they're in a better place now, but kind of just assuming that that's the belief that they have.
It's never good to assume someone's religion, sexuality, anything like that.
It's just better to be cautious than to assume that. In this situation where tensions are high, emotions are high, this person is very vulnerable, you just have to really think about what you're saying. It also makes them feel that, like, oh, they shouldn't be grieving because they're in a better place now. Kind of like, I don't know. The reason that I am grieving isn't because of that, it's because I miss him personally. So like saying that they're in a better place, yeah, that's like nice maybe, but to me that's not going to make me not miss him.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like they're in a better place,
Yeah.
sure, but they're not in this place.
Yeah,
They're not
exactly.
with me.
Yeah.
So I'm still going to grieve.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. And the last one that we've got down is the phrase "be strong." We've kind of completely changed that one again, is to just saying like, I wish I had the right words to say, just know I care. And this is quite interesting because a lot of the time when people would send me messages, a lot of the times I would just kind of say, look, we're doing our best to be strong. I just thought that was the right way to let people know that, like, I just didn't want to make it awkward for them as well. I kind of just wanted to...
I also think that's a very you thing to do. You know, like, you were never one to just be like, I'm really sad, like, this is really hard. Obviously, that's how you were feeling. Yeah. But you always had quite a strong front. Yeah, because I didn't want people to feel like they didn't know what to do or that they had to, like, be more uncomfortable about this. Majority of the time, people would come back and say, like, I'm glad, that's good, but just know it's okay not to be okay. And that was a really refreshing reminder to me, to be like, you know what, I don't have to put on this act to be strong. Completely. Also, I feel like the alternative that you've given of like, I wish I had the right words, that's probably the safest thing you can say to someone in that moment. Yeah. Because there aren't really the right words to say.
There's really not.
Like, just by saying like, I wish I had the right, I wish I could help, but just know that like, I love you and I care about you and I'm going to be here for you as much as I can be. Yeah. That's really the only thing that you can...
Even just like talking about the person that they're grieving, you know, like ask them about memories of that person or good times with that person and try and like, you know, bring that energy to life is really, it can be really valuable to that person, you know, sort of like the good reminiscing moments can be a really source of energy for that person.
To try and not think about them like in the now, look back at like the happier times,
that
like
can be
good memories.
Yeah, a source of strength.
So the next segment that we did was actions. It's kind of stepping back and being like, what are the mundane, everyday little things that seem like not even an issue that they are not going to want to be doing right now? Yeah. So for example, cooking, cleaning, like going out and buying food, like all that stuff.
A lot of the time, we're not thinking about the things that are making it more challenging. For example, we have a very anxious dog. Yeah, he's like highly anxious around people and crowds and stuff like that. And a lot of the time, we would have people come over, Beckham would get really uncomfortable. And so like Phoebe and Rochelle would just like see this situation and they were like, well, we'll take him to the vet to get some like anxiety tablets and stuff like that. Just things that like, we don't have the capacity to think of that because we're so on autopilot, but just things that are just going to make the situation so much more easier. We did have like a friend of ours that came to us and said, just be aware that sometimes people are going to put their grief onto you during this time. And when I first heard that, I didn't really understand what that sort of meant until I absolutely had this happen to me. This was the first time I'd actually gone out since Aaron had passed away, so I was already quite anxious about going. I saw someone that I hadn't seen since Aaron had passed away for a good hour, I think.
It was
we sat there and she just went on about the moment she found out he passed away, her actions afterwards, you know, how she's feeling, how she's grieving, how she's had to see someone. And the whole time I was sitting there, like, I had to support her and bring her up and, you know, pretend like I'm okay to make sure she's okay. Yeah, it was just very exhausting.
You know, that person was obviously going through a hard time, like they were friends with Aaron, you know, but you cannot go to someone like Emily or Aaron's mum or Aaron's dad and talk about how hard this is for you.
I think like also a lot of the time they're probably thinking like by doing this they're proving to you how much Aaron meant to them, which is beautiful, but it's like, then talk about how much he meant to you, not about how much you're grieving and how hard this is for you.
Completely.
Because you're putting your grief onto the grieving person and then they have to help you get out of it. And just to be aware. And then I think the final thing we want to touch on as well is just about space. And like we said earlier, there is no time frame with grief, you know, as cliche it is, it does come in waves, and you know, a few weeks after it happens, you could be feeling really fine and you could be okay and you could be wanting to hang out with your friends and go and drink and go out, and then months later it could hit you and you just feel really shit again and you don't want to go out and you're cancelling on friends and stuff like that. And I think just allowing that person to just make their decisions without making them feel guilty is really important. If they feel really good at one point, it's not like they're going to feel good forever then, and just...
Yeah, there's no, like, there's no moment of, like,
they're fine
wow,
now.
I'm okay now, like, I've processed this, like, I'm no longer grieving, I'm no longer mourning. It's just kind of like, you have good days and bad days.
Absolutely.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's also very important to kind of gauge when that person needs to be alone, when that person needs to be just with their family, and when that person needs to be, like, distracted. You just have to be really observant. There's moments when they just want to have a laugh and you can distract them, talk about something totally different and have a laugh. But then there's also moments where they want to be upset, or they want to talk about the good times, they want to talk about a memory they have with Aaron, or you know, and just let them take the reins. I think that's the biggest thing, like just go wherever they take you.
I think that kind of wraps up what we wanted to discuss, sort of. Again, if you have done something now that you think, oh shit, that's probably not the right thing to do, don't feel bad and don't dwell on it. Like, that's good, you've done what you thought was the right thing to do, but now maybe you just have a little bit more awareness of another alternative that you could do that might be a better way. And we have done this.
We are both guilty of these things. Like, it's human error, you know, like nobody's going to hold it against you.
Because it is a really awkward and challenging experience. So thanks for watching, guys. We still don't know how to do closes, but we might just end it there. Bye!